Well, let's go ahead and introduce Michael. Michael's a man who's been with us many, many times, and we're here exclusively to welcome him again in 2020 and share some laughter with us. So, Michael, without further ado, would you please come out and start your program?
Thank you very much, Craig. And to all of my sisters and brothers from the Golden Gate Breakfast Club and all of you in the United Kingdom, may God bless you and your families in this really spiritual season and the time of angels and stars and light, and for Kwanzaa, for Hanukkah, all of us who are of different faiths and religion, we know that one thing that is deep within us, and that is the idea of hope. And for me, hope is always in laughter. It is the medicine of the soul. When I was a kid growing up, I had a World War II father. And I love him. I miss him to this day. I think one of the greatest lines describing my father is he had a $4 haircut, $1 for each corner. But he was an Army officer and a fine, wonderful man with a bunch of kids from a family of 13. And my mom was from a family of 9. So early on in life, I learned to share. And I was thinking about my father when he would say things like many World War II dads had the same epic disciplinary statuses.
Stop crying before I give you something to cry about.
That was number one. Number two was,
do you want me to turn this car around right now?
And of course, my all-time favorite was, anybody who had a World War II dad remembered this line.
Look at me when I'm talking to you.
And of course, I had attention deficit disorder, so it was hard for me to focus. But I remember my father taught me to focus by being that guy that got me to focus in. And I think it's the success of learning to be wisely disciplined by a person who loves you. That is what we are facing right now, and the importance of all of that. Everybody needs to know that what we can do to help others is to take care of children, seniors, and the vulnerable. There's a psalm called the 82nd Psalm. If you read it at some point, it talks about taking care of the widow, the orphan, and the vulnerable. When we do that, we as humans are at our very best. And so over the years, I got people like Robin Williams. And if you want to see a movie that'll touch deeply your soul, the movie is called Robin's Wish. And Robin's Wish is about Robin wishing that all of us had more courage and to face things unafraid in their lives, to help other people. So that is what I try to do to teach children. But I have, in trying to teach them that, learned more from kids than I could ever teach them. Here's the perfect line. Talking to little kids, and I said, boys and girls, we must not bully or tease or torment. Don't overstand people, understand people. And one of the little kids raised his hand in 4th grade and said, yes, but Mr. Mike, don't you think we need understanding of ourselves and others? Wouldn't that be helpful as well? And I was completely blown away by the brilliance of a child knowing that all of us need to look inside for the answers. Forgive to live, live to forgive, let it go. What people think of me is none of my business. They don't know my heart. They don't know my journey. Try to help people to understand as well as understand. And those are the things that kids teach me. I remember talking to little kids one day, and I said, you don't have to blow someone else's candle out to make sure yours shines brighter. And this little kid, 2nd grade at Hamilton Air Force Base, said, well, if you do go around bullying and putting people down and blowing out their candle, you will be the one in the darkness. This profound statement from a child teaches us that incarnating onto the planet, we have a wisdom of soulful, emotional intelligence and heartedness that is coming as fast as we can ever imagine the importance of its need right now. We really need heartfelt emotion to help guide us and be our leaders. One of the best gifts, I guess, when I'm thinking about it, was Helen Keller when she said, "Oh, Miss Keller, it must be hard for you to be blind." And she said, "Well, it would be if we had no vision. We see with our hearts." So each and every one of us, if we see with our heart and we gift that to other people, and we don't look down at people. The line, of course, is by Mother Teresa. If you judge people, you'll never have time to learn to love them and heal them. So staying out of politics and staying out of religion has been one of the things I try to do so that I can help guide folks, and especially children, to the higher nature of their lives and to take care of themselves, watching their temper, which is really urgently important. I remember I was teaching anger management, and that's why I love the Breakfast Club. There's so many wonderful men there and women there that are so connected to what I call community unity, helping each other. Like Craig Harrison, when I went and I spoke with Craig's group, Angels, they just want to help our veterans and our veterans' families. And that's urgently important to our nation and to the well-being of the glue that holds the fabric of our nation together. So I was thinking about this the other day and how fun kids are. And one of the great gifts of being around children is they're so unfiltered. They say the funniest, sweetest, most amazing things. And in the movie that we did with Robin, I used to take Robin Williams, one of the most brilliant and soulfully felt guys and brilliant actor, and he would come to play basketball with adult developmentally delayed seniors. And they were in their 50s and 60s and some in their 70s. And when I remember watching Robin so ebullient and elated, and I said, "How you feeling?" He said, "Why do I feel so good right now?" I said, "Because Robin, everywhere else in the world, you're on give. But here, with these folks, you're on receive. When we take care of the vulnerable, the special needs, when we take care of children and seniors and widows, and we help and we make sure that our money and watching our tempers as we help to engage in charity work and getting out of the ego." One of the best, I guess, lines was, "Anger past 30 seconds is ego." And when I was at one of the prisons, the guy yells, "And the ego is not your amigo," which is a brilliant line. And so we know that watching our tempers is important. I love this. I had a 100-year-old Marine at Breakfast Club, and I said, "What's the best part of turning 100? And he went, "The absolute lack of peer pressure." Well, you can't find a funnier line than that. Getting through life and realizing that laughter is medicine for the soul and hope for the spirit. Spes meo and Deo es, which is all my hope is in God. And no matter what you perceive the higher power or God to be, no matter what religion you are, finding that gentle self in you to lower the barbed wire of your boundaries that you put up emotionally, and to let people bridge that gap and come in and you get to learn. I have a family. I have a bunch of kids. I was thinking about this the other day. I took my little grandson, Braun, with me to Stinson Beach. And there was a remarkable moment I thought was fascinating. He's 4. He's Russian and Irish. Braun Cosmos Dimitrovich Bakinin. And he is the most beautiful little red-haired boy. And much like all the kids I've spent time with from Breakfast Club and the dads and moms and grandparents that brought him there, just a hearted kid. And he looks at me as we're at Stinson Beach and he says, "Grandpa, does God live out here?" And I burst out laughing. And I said, "Well, I think really, Braun, God lives wherever really people love each other." And he says, "Well, he vacations here." And I said, "Well, I would assume that is correct because Stinson's gorgeous." And when I think about places where you find a sanctuary of light, it's the Breakfast Club. It's being around women and men that have served a great purpose. I don't know how many times I was out with the military on the Coral Sea doing shows with Golden Gate Breakfast Club or the Carl Vinson, but performing and bringing light to troops and naval officers and kids and families gathered was a remarkable gift to me as a human being. It reminded me why I love America so much and why I love freedom so much. It's that we have an ability to express and say whatever we need to say and not be curtailed in what we do, as we were talking about with Mr. Persky here a minute ago. Give yourself to that blend of light, that you bring light to the thing. I always tell kids, don't wait for the light at the end of the tunnel. Become the light going through the tunnel and glow in the dark as you go. Glow in the dark as you go. Bring light, bring joy, bring ebullience, bring happiness. Do your best to make sure that everybody's candle's lit. And then when you see that, that's what it's about. When I had probation and parole folks with me all the time talking, I would look at them and I would say, hey, karma has your address. Karma has your address. And I said, I know that. That means that what you put out will come back your way. One of the little kids teaching about anger and grace, he said, I think anger and hate are a lot like a boomerang. You throw them and they'll come back at you. That's why all of us need to use the Frisbee as the role model. And when you throw your anger away, it just drifts away and it doesn't come back. Here's a third grade kid teaching us not to throw hate and anger into the wind if it blows back at us. What comes around goes around. Why is that important? Well, here I am, I'm in San Francisco, and I see a young man who's a captain in the fire department. And when he was a little kid, when he was here with my kids, I used to say to all of them, the good you do will come back to you, but the bad you do would be sad for you. But the good you do will come back to you. And I hear the fire truck going by in the large canyons of downtown San Francisco, and the sirens are epically echoing off those mountainous skyscrapers. And I look over as it stops and I see a bunch of kids that I've known since they were little on the fire truck. And they are remarkable first responders, willing to risk their life and give their life to save others. Remarkable young women and men who are a gift to our nation, who during this fire season, way above and beyond the call of duty for all of us as human beings, to save and preserve homes and life, and to protect and to defend and risk and maybe lose their lives in doing so. And I looked up at them and one of them yells, hey, Mr. Pritchard, the good you do will come back to you. It was remarkable because they listen to us if we speak to them from the heart and from a hearted place to teach. All of us are together in this. It shouldn't take a storm. It shouldn't take a virus. It shouldn't take a hurricane, a tornado to teach us we're going to meet each other in community unity. What we need to do is see in each other's eyes the wisdom that comes from being a kind person. So when I teach little kids, I say, unwind, find kind, remind. So here's me thinking about my son, whom I love very dearly, who's a first responder in the ER in New York City, who's watched quite a few people pass and transition over. And he was the chief resident at Brooklyn Hospital North. And he said, Pop, and this is who we are, not just in America, but in Britain and all over the world. This is who we are. He's walking to work off the subway, and he said there were other nurses and one young doctor with me, Pop. And he goes, as we get closer, I hear a chorus of Broadway performers who are hanging out their window in New York singing Leonard Cohen's song, Hallelujah. There was a cornet drifting into it, and it was remarkable. It was haunting. And then we got closer, and the firefighters and the policemen had their lights on their trucks and cars, and were applauding all of us, nurses and doctors, going to work in hard circumstances. And he goes, it was haunting, and I was kind of overwhelmed, but I had to hold it together as a doctor going to work on my shift, 7 p.m. And all of a sudden, because it's a Caribbean neighborhood, a Jamaican fella stood up and walked over to me off a seat and pulled his mask down and looked at me. My son has red hair. He goes, "Dr. Big Red, you saved my life 2 years ago. And I want my baby boy to put his hand on your heart." And this little child put his hand on my son, the doctor's heart. And my son said it was his favorite moment of being a doctor, favorite moment of being an American, favorite moment of being a New Yorker. Because in New York, it is the lesson of the world. We're all in this together. Whether we begin there or we understand that in our hearts, when we are all together, we are all together. Community unity, love, thankful and tranquil, grateful, not hateful. Get some godcalm.com. Find ways to just release yourself. Watch how you talk about people. I told a joke one day. There was two snakes going up the road, and one snake goes,
"Hey, are we poisonous snakes? I mean, I was wondering, are we poisonous snakes?"
and the other snake goes,
Well, of course we're poisonous. We're rattlesnakes. Why would you even ask?
Well, I was gossiping about other people around here, and I bit my own tongue. I think I'm in trouble.
teaching children early and all of us as well to watch our words. Use your words as shields to defend others and not as swords to hurt or wound. Use your words to defend and protect the vulnerable and the softer and help them. And be strong enough to stand for that righteous truth. The great Louis Brandeis said, the best disinfectant is sunshine. We know the truth and love our sisters to justice. And when we stand for what is right, we are at our best. That's why I love special needs kids. They teach me every day why I taught my kids to be there for the vulnerable, why to offer your life to help others is important. It's not just the foster care kids who lived with us over the years. It's the gift of the laughter that all these things taught us. And that when you mix kids around after Katrina, I had 2 young people who lived with us for the whole summer, and they were amazing. I believe that the greatest gift in the whole world ever is to intergroup our kids from privilege and our kids from poverty together so they may learn from each other's souls and hearts of what is. Because it's not in wealth that we succeed. At the end of the chess game, the pawn and the queen and the king go back into the same box. The pharaohs of Egypt thought they were taking it with them to the afterlife, but it's actually at the Rosicrucian Museum in San Jose. And a great writer, Arthur Miller, said, no matter how rich and powerful you are, how important you get to be on the day you die, the size of your funeral depends on the weather that day. Well, there's remarkable gifts in this wisdom. Is that what is really the medicine for the soul is having people who love you. Ebenezer Scrooge learned this in his life, and Dickens spoke about it. He said, poor Scrooge, he was as solitary as an oyster in his pain. Poor Scrooge. And when I was telling that to a little kid, I said, doesn't that make you, he's got everything, but he's still unhappy. I said, don't you dislike that? He goes, you should not teach us that. That's wrong. And I go, this is an 8-year-old kid. I go, what's wrong about that? He goes, don't dislike them. Help them. Help them. Because if you would create a rainbow pearl inside the oyster's heart, they can save themselves and love again. This is an 8-year-old. I don't know where that wisdom comes from other than I can tell you that right now, my belief is there's so many really brilliant kids coming to the planet to provide leadership and love and compassion and kindness and goodness to all of us, that's the gift that we're getting as we start to take awareness of how important we are when a virus starts to shift us to understand how important it is that we have love, that we have the medicine of love and compassion and taking care of our seniors. The loneliness that's out there that I try to help with, because there's so many depressed and lonely people, is only healed by the hope of laughter and joy and fun. When I work, I know that I have learned more from human suffering than human happiness. There's a line by Aeschylus: with every drop of pain on the human heart, wisdom grows, wisdom grows. During World War II, Stephen Ambrose described the young men from Britain and the young men and women from America that went to Normandy to help. And he said, when it came to World War II, we sent our best. They did their best, and the world was saved from evil. When Ike Eisenhower toured the concentration camps, he looked and saw it all, and he said, I don't know if the young men that I brought here to Normandy to land would have an idea at times what they were fighting for, but when they see this, they know absolutely what they've been fighting against. That generation faced so much, and can we do less than? By looking inside for the answers and the courage that it takes. As my friend Robin Williams said in the movie, Robin's Wish, courage comes from the word encourage, give strength to the heart. It's the French word for heart, cool. And so don't discourage, don't take strength away. Encourage yourself and others. I was telling the story of the Balsam Tove said, when we die and go to see the Creator, all the Creator says is, hey, why weren't you more yourself? If we are truly ourselves, we are evolved to know that we have the gift of giving life to those when we are truly, authentically genuine and in our heart and in our soul, noticing that we might have been blessed by the things that have come our way, not by luck, but sometimes in fortune, we get to become aware of how important it is to share and to lift and gift and shift other people to rise up. Because when we all rise, we all rise. So as I spend my time with special needs kids, they teach me more than I could ever teach them. I remember I remember this moment, and I think I was playing a game aggravation with kids who were Down syndrome. And I go, wait, we can't, there was 3 of them. And I said, we can't play without the dice. Where's the dice? And one of them says, Mike, we'll pretend we have the dice. I get a 5. And I start laughing. I go, why didn't you needed a 6. Why didn't you just get a 6? And he goes, I'm not a cheater. In life, you're laughing all the time at being around people and putting them together so that they can come to understand each other, gift each other, shift each other, lift each other up. When our kids are exposed to the homeless, when our kids are exposed to early to special needs folks, when our kids are taken to senior citizens' homes to perform or to sing, to uplift their hearts, we benefit as a culture. So it's tough times now in COVID because everybody's afraid. And I'll tell you this, and I promise you this is true. Fear is the little dark room where negatives are developed. And we must not be afraid. We must live in the magnificent hope of things getting better. So we have to choose. What shall it be? Bitter or better? Wine or shine? Complain or gain? What we should do is watch how we talk to ourselves and watch how we talk to others, encouraging all those human hearts like we do at Breakfast Club. And over the years of being around with all the men there, it was remarkable, and all of the women as well, the gifts that they gave to me of wisdom and kindness and love and compassion. So the last story I'll tell you is when you seriously doubt that things are getting better, think of this story. I was on my way and I was upset because I had a clunky old car and it had 300,000 miles on it. And I couldn't get my son home from Visalia, where he was working as an ER doctor. And he had saved a fella shot 9 times. And he was coming home and the car kept stalling out. And I was upset. And I was thinking, what do I have to do? I'm doing everything I figure you want me to do. And on my way to the coffee shop, I was upset and disappointed and feeling overburdened and underappreciated and not valued at all. And I got out of my car and sat down, and a couple walked over, every word of this true, and handed me a check for $25,000 to buy a new car. And I was overwhelmed and teary-eyed and emotional. And I thanked them. And I went back to my car and I looked up and I said, that was very embarrassing. I guess you had to do that to prove to me that prayers are answered. Well, we believe in Santa Claus. We believe in the greater good. We believe in the medicine of kindness and love. And so may you be blessed. And I leave you all with these lines from a cancer camp. And for all of us who are sailors and all of you in Britain, hear these words. They're from an Anglican church called St. Dorothy's Rest. Oh, the winds of God are blowing, so keep your sails unfurled. And the winds of God will take you to the safe harbors of the world, forever full of power to take you where you will, forever full of grace if there are sails to fill. So take the helm, be master, unfurl your sail, your part, and the winds of God will take you to the safe harbors of your heart. May God bless all of you at Kwanzaa, at Hanukkah, at Christmas, Ramadan, all of us taking care of each other's heart, no matter what religion, no matter what background. Science is God. God is science. We have miracles coming our way. Take care of each other. And I love all of you and your families and your grandkids. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, guys. Love you guys. I got to go feed the dog.
Merry Christmas, Michael. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Love you.
Namaste. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you.
For our gift.
Thank you, Joel. Thank you, buddy.
Well, we're going to go ahead and keep the room open for a little bit. And was somebody saying something? Michael, are you able to stick around for a few minutes?
Yes, sir, I can. Yeah,
That'd be
absolutely.
great. Because we always have a few questions afterwards, and
Absolutely, sir. Sorry, didn't even think about it.
and some great takeaways. I was afraid you had to leave to go feed your dog. So anyway,
it's a German Shepherd. It's 15.
oh, okay.
Wow, that's old.
Yeah. Just
Us too, Steve.
Okay, so I have a question for you, okay? Because I was taking a few notes in some of your, great lines like karma and hate. That one was awesome. The dark room is where you develop negatives. I just thought,
Yes.
so many great sentences. I mean, is this just coming off the top of your head? Are you reading from a script or referring to something? I mean, it was so well executed.
My wife rolling her eyes, Craig. No, I believe there's a spiritual gift that I have to know what to say to people when they need to hear things. And I just I don't know a lot of times what I'm going to say when I get up there. So there is no script. It's just me and my attention deficit disorder, hyperactivity brain.
You're making it work for you.
Thank you, sir.
Patricia, I know you always have a question.
Well, whenever I see and hear Michael, I always think of my wonderful friend, John Cantu, who is in a photograph with Tom Drews to the left of my computer screen, because I know you had a wonderful relationship with him at the beginning of your comedy career, Michael.
Yes.
But if I had forgotten that you had won the San Francisco Comedy Contest in 1980. What was your routine about?
Well, I was so ill-equipped, and everything was. I had never done stand-up before, but I was goofy, Patricia. So I would do silly things, like I would do an imitation of Richard Nixon.
Yeah.
The last thing that
Michael,
Richard
remind us.
Nixon, I used to sit and laugh, and then I did voices. I mean, I did millions of voices for Star Wars. I believe I'm 70 years old. Is it possible that I'm 70?
Michael,
And then the
remind us how you
little
used to start the show. What did you do when you started the show, Michael?
Oh, I used to drink a pitcher of beer back in the day. And then I'd be going like this, and the crowd would be, because I'd go. There's not a human being alive that believes that I turned 70.
Mute your phones.
Reg Young, how are your kids doing?
They're doing great, Michael. In
Please
fact,
tell them I send my love. You're the best, brother.
okay, the youngest now has a 9-month-old daughter. So
You know,
it's
I feel
keeping us
so
busy.
Reg, I feel so old because I went out to lunch with the kid that I had helped out a lot back in St. Louis on his
Yes.
birthday. And I said, how old are you now on your birthday? And he said, 65.
Oh, crap. Oh. You know, the girls will never forget my two youngest girls when 30 years ago, when they played piano and you sat at the table with them, because they were, like babies at the time, and that made a great impression on them. Thank you so much for being our friend.
Hey, love you, brother. Always, always and forever. Always by your side, man. Always.
Thank you.
So Michael, you're out of Mill Valley?
No, San Rafael, I lived in a place called Scabo.
Okay.
It's the impoverished section of Marin. The homes are only 1 million.
Oh. I'm your neighbor. I'm in San Rafael. I'm in Marinwood.
Oh yeah, love it. Same deal, $1 million homes.
So who else? Antonio, you always have a great question.
Michael, love you. Thank you, Mr. President. Michael, love you. I'm curious, you also won the award for Parole Officer of the Year.
Now,
Right? I would love to know what your routine was for that.
oh, well, one of Mike Hanlon, Judge Hanlon, I worked for him. He was the judge. And Judge Hanlon, I didn't even have to write comedy in those days, Antonio, because Judge Hanlon ordered me, because there was a guy that was a flight risk, and I know it's hard for you to believe. I'm a big guy. I have a bumper sticker on my truck. Bulk up, big people are harder to kidnap. And out of nowhere, my mom said I was so big, if I fell over, I'd be halfway home. So Judge Hanlon ordered me to be handcuffed to the kid who was a flight risk. And the kid goes, he looks at me and he goes, now I can't go anywhere. I was just a giant anchor for this kid. And I looked up at the judge and he goes, yes, this is why we love Judge Hanlon the best.
We are a giant anchor
I
of love
never even had
for
to
us,
do
Michael.
anything. I would laugh so hard with the kids. You know, one of the great lines by one of the kids, is, "I'm tired of everybody telling me what to do. I'm going to join the Marine Corps." Oh yeah, nobody will tell you what to do there. Let me help you get down to the recruiter. I'll get your bags. So if you're around tough kids, the only thing they're looking for from you, and this is ironic, is gentle understanding. Many of them suffer from early childhood trauma, and so that if you're helping them because they have adverse childhood experiences, you help guide them to talk to you and unburden about what causes their anger and their hostilities, because that's where most of it comes from. And so using humor as the tool to open up and get them to talk with parolees as well. I used to laugh with them all the time, and they would share everything. Antonio, they would share everything with you because they knew at some point if you were laughing with them at the sadness and the hardship of their life, you understood. And that's what I tried to be for kids.
Thank you, Michael. Love you, brother.
You
I have a
too, my
question
brother.
for you. Michael, I have a question for you. No, you can.
Yes,
Can you
sir.
hear me? Can you
Yes,
hear
sir.
me? Okay. First of all, thanks again for appearing with us with your unique humorous talents and all that sort of thing, and especially the help that you give to those levels of society that are dysfunctional mentally, physically, or whatever, or disadvantaged. Have you ever considered appearing before Congress?
Bill, I love you so much. You are such a great FBI agent, and you helped so many friends of mine over the years and gave me incredible advice to help people. You're a good man, sir. All I can say to you is this: one of the great gifts all of us have is to realize that if leadership is provided by listening, and leaders are readers, readers are leaders. That's what I tell them. We stay in literature and help them. I would love to talk in front of Congress just to help them understand each other before we get to the point where we have hurt each other so badly. It is not reparable. So yeah, I'd love to do that, sir.
Mike, I have a question. How
Yes,
is
sir.
your friend Will Durst doing? I understand he's been under the weather this last year. Have you talked to him?
Yes. We're not, nobody's allowed to get into him, but Will is sequestered because of COVID. He's at Jewish home. I think of him every day, like I do Robin, and I think of him and I pray for him every day. He is a remarkable spirit. He would have loved to be alive now, in the sense of being out and able to perform and crashing out there and having comments to make. And I think it's really a hardship. So ask everybody to keep him in your prayers. A remarkable spirit, a brilliant man, and a kind guy. So keep him in your thoughts.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask a quick question. Robin Williams, every time I go through the tunnel, I think of him. I met him only once, and it was a very special human being. But you mentioned a movie, I believe, called Robin's Wish. Is that
Yes.
something that is some way available to be seen somewhere, somehow?
It is, Christine. It's called Robin's Wish. It's about his wife Susan and Robin's last month of life. It's done by Tyler Norwood, the incredible filmmaker who made it, a young guy. And it is on Amazon Prime, and I believe it's on Google as well. Robin's Wish. And it was funny when I talk about little kids, Christine. My little grandson was in the car, and it was a remarkable moment. He was about 3. And we were going through that tunnel, and I said, "Say hello, Robin Williams." And Braun, my grandson, goes, "Hello, Robin Williams." And I keep driving, and then he goes, "He's fine, Grandpa."
Wow.
And I turn and I go, what did you just say? And he goes, "He's fine. He's fine." Now, who but a 3-year-old would know that somebody in heaven is fine? And there's no doubt my little brother Robin is in heaven for sure. And I just started crying, and I called Susan, And because I wanted Susan to hear what Bron said. And I truly, in my heart and soul, believe that a baby would know he's fine.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that.
Michael, I want to remind you of the person who brought us together, Jack McCluskey. I have probably given over 100 funeral orations in my life. And the moment I realized I needed to do it was when you eulogized Jack McCluskey at his funeral. I said, well, God damn it, if that guy can do it, so can I. And he was the one that brought us together and to help do the first photographic reproduction of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, because if Muhammad doesn't go to the mountain, you bring the mountain to Muhammad. Thank you, Michael. I just can't tell you how many times you supported me and my family and my clubs and my schools. And I love you, man. You're the greatest.
I love you too, Rick. And every Vietnam vet that ever came home and every veteran that came home, and I know you were working in Turkey and you were overseas, you bless us by that purchasing freedom at the risk of your own safety, your own life, and the ability for you to bring the important nature of your service to the public, to help them understand why it's important to honor the veteran. Yeah, I'm with you, brother.
Thank you, brother.
Michael, it's Craig Harrison. I'm really always uplifted by your powerful programs. What's next for you? What are you doing in 2021 that you're excited about or would like to share?
You know, Craig, I just recently I have raised over Zoom about $500,000 over Zoom, just talking, just doing what I do. We raised $205,000 for Halleck Creek Ranch, $225,000 for St. Vincent de Paul Society for the Poor, $68,000 for United Cerebral Palsy, $40,000 for a group called Wednesday's Gift, and another $20,000 for Rotary. Just raising money to do good, to do good, to do good. It's what I do. I do it every day. And then I come home and that's when you realize your family humbles you by saying, take the garbage out right now. But I think really important.
Such an inspiration.
Thanks, man. I love you too. That was great to be with your people at the church, helping the vets. That was they were an awesome group of spirits, brother.
The afterglow you leave is amazing. We're still, feeling it. Thank you so much, brother.
I'll come back again, for sure.
Oh, I hope that's a promise.
Oh yeah, for sure. Always, Christine. Always, always, always.
I would welcome opportunities to be supportive too. I don't have $1 million, that'd be great, but I don't have that to share. But if there are opportunities to volunteer or do something, I don't know how to contact you, but I would like to know more about it.
I'm so large that I am noticed by National Security Agency, and they have me on a global watch because when I move, earthquakes happen.
And that's also when you move your lips, because what you say, it's wonderful.
Well, I wish you could just cut to a picture of my wife rolling her eyes going.
So Michael, I have a question for you. So what kind of car did you buy with the $25,000 check?
You know, they gave me a great success. I have a beautiful Ford Flex. And I love it. It's a Ford. It was awesome for me. I used to get my cars from Ray Scioto. And when I went up, I was like, wow, it was like amazing because I've been driving that thing. And my son looked at me and he goes, Dad, I don't know how you have this good luck. And I said, it's not good luck, son. It's a life well lived. And this little grandson of mine is the exclamation point on the end of a life well lived. I feel like Jimmy Stewart at the end of the Capra movie, It's a Wonderful Life, always. Every day I wake up and I go, I'm blessed, too blessed to be stressed. So I got a great Ford Flex and I love it still to this day. But of course, my kids, Craig, they call it the hearse. Because it's all black. Pop's got hurt. If we just want to, when he croaks, we can always just put him in the urn and drive him around and have everybody wave. There's the love of family, right? There's that love. Comedy writer, doctor, and my daughter's a therapist. She styles women's hair and listens to their life situations. The most important person on planet Earth.
Oh yeah.
So true.
It's Betty Tash. I love that Harapist. That's great. I've never heard that. Thank you for your wonderful comments and for joining us. And it's so wonderful to see you. And you just bring a smile to my face. And I guess my question is, well, first of all, I heard on the news this morning there was a guy from St. Louis who was in gangs when he was growing up, and he was awarded Teacher of the Year in Missouri. And it was so inspirational to see that, or maybe it was last night. But my question is, do you ever get discouraged when people or kids don't listen, or maybe, did you ever get discouraged with?
You know, Betty, I will tell you, this is really, you know how they curse people who have special needs. I learned more from special needs kids. Like the kid who's dyslexic taught me secure and rescue, same letters. Heart and earth, same letters. Reactive and creative, same letters. My favorite is silent and listen, same letters. And so when you're quiet and you're listening to kids who are special needs, special learners, you're learning. I was such a person. I had ADDHA. And so here's what's funny and remarkable. If I do get depressed and sad because people are cruel or mean, biting or bullying or sarcastic, I teach them sarcasm comes from the Greek term, the tearing of flesh off the human spirit. And a cynic is somebody who knows the price of everything and the value of nothing. And that's from Oscar Wilde. Mark Twain's line is, you have to teach the person who's the bully what they do. And the line by Twain is, the container, the pitcher that holds cynicism, sarcasm, and biting hurt does more damage to itself trying to pour that bullying out on others than it does to those intended victims, which is a remarkable insight from Twain, who was a cynic. He finally came to a point in his life where he understood that words can be corrosive, internally as well as externally. So watch how we talk to people. Be kind. Unwind, find kind, remind. And so when I get discouraged, all I do is think of the person who's saying that to you is hurting way worse than you would ever know. Because hurt people, but pain shared is pain divided. Make sense?
Absolutely. I have one more word, which you probably know. Stressed, spelled backwards, is dessert. So
yes.
Enjoy.
Yeah, you're talking to me. I suffer from anorexia ponderosa.
Thank you so much. You're back.
Thank you so much, my dear.
I love these plays on words.
Well, you know, here's what I learn all the time, Craig, when I'm doing plays on words. When kids teach, and one of my lines is a kid who said, blame is me at the end of blah, blah, blah.
Oh, I love that.
And shame is me at the end of shh, shh, shh. That's how bullies work. He goes, they shame you by getting you to be silent. And silence is violence. Because if you hold those in and don't unburden yourself from the grief, then you know tears that do not flow will make other organs weep inside of us. We get sick if we don't share, right?
Oh.
I'm really out of words at the moment.
Well, I love you guys. If there's, you know, I mean, when we talk about the sorrows of the world, Macbeth and Shakespeare wrote, always give sorrow words. Grief that does not speak whispers to the overfraught heart and bids it to break. And in our nation right now and globally, we have so many souls whose hearts are breaking from the loneliness, from the sadness, from the isolation, That's why what we're doing today and what we do every day to reach out and to teach out and to preach out to them is a blessing to them, for them, and unto them and our world. So stay steady and be strong, right?
Amen. I think that's a great place to end today's presentation. And
Absolutely wonderful.
Michael, thank you so much for joining us. You've been fantastic.
Way to go, man.
Love you guys.
You are always welcome at the Breakfast Club.
I love you. too.
We love you.
Hey, I love you guys too, and you guys bless me. I'll just say one thing. The world needs the kind of thing that the Breakfast Club brings, and that is community unity and helping people to learn differences are not in the diversity and the religious diversity. They're not a threat to our borders, but a bridge to our hearts.
Michael, don't forget to feed the dog.
Yeah.
All right, sir.
All right, guys.
Oh,
Take care. God
All right.
bless you.
thanks.
Thank you for joining us, everybody.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Love you guys. Happy holidays.
God bless you. Thank you so much.
Happy holidays.
What a gift.
And Mr.